Hello and welcome to another Villarreal Fan TV podcast. Today I have with me Alan. How are you doing today, Alan?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing pretty well.
It's good
We
to hear.
finally got autumn. We finally got autumn here in Central California, so it's
Mm.
it's much cooler and wetter, and I like that.
You like it? Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's good. So we have played, I think now one third of the league matches. Um, so we have already played 12 matches in the league. So we
Right.
have seven victories, three draws, and two losses. So, and we lost only to the big teams. The way it was Barcelona and Real Madrid, right?
hmm Right.
Yeah. How impressed are you with Villarreal's current form?
Well, I'm still a bit on the fence, I suppose. I'm delighted that we're fourth in the league and have been, for the most part, getting wins against the teams that we normally drop points against. So that's really good. There are times when I've watched the matches and I'm thinking, and there have been a couple that I haven't been able to see live, and so I've watched the replay knowing that we've won, and I'm thinking, how did we win this? Our form on the day is not always doesn't seem to always reflect the score line. Not that we've been lucky, but I think we've been opportunist. And I hope we can keep it up. The big concern, of course, is injuries, which we're still battling with, and now we have a couple of players that are out for the season pretty much, Ilias
Mm.
and Alfonso Pedraza, and that's not good. And we haven't really seen Gerard either. So, I'm optimistic. I think in a lot of ways, we're I still think the battle for fourth place is going to be between us and Betis, probably.
Mhm.
Um, Maybe Athletic Club. I don't know. But I sort of, when I look at the standings, I look to see how many points are we above clubs like Betis, because those are really, I think, going to be our main contenders for fourth place. But right now, I mean, we're looking pretty good. We dropped points at home to Getafe, but we defeated Valladolid, Alaves, the clubs that we needed to defeat.
Mhm.
So that's good.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Usually, as you mentioned, we drop against those lower teams, but and we could have easily won the Getafe match if it wasn't for the cheap penalty that they got.
Yes.
Uh, so some of it has been, unfortunate with the decision, especially with VAR. I heard Villarreal is the most, I think, punished team since VAR came, with penalties especially. So we got a lot of decision against us in penalty when it comes to penalties, but we also received a lot of penalties. So it's like a double-edged sword. So yeah.
Right.
So, but did you watch the Alaves match?
I saw parts of it. I didn't see the entire thing at one go, but I thought that overall we played pretty well, especially in the second half. It was interesting that I don't. Did you see Marcelino's comment where he thought that the penalty that we got, that we converted against Alaves? He said, of course, said, I wasn't close to it, but he felt
Mm.
like it was just like the penalty that was called against us against Hetafe. That it's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of a cheap penalty.
Yeah, I saw it. I read it, but it's the same code. It's the same referee. I don't know if you noticed it, but it's the same referee who was refereeing the Getafe match who gave that penalty, and now he gave the same penalty. So maybe he felt like maybe the referee felt like he had to give that back because of what he did previously.
Yeah,
Uh, I
no,
don't know, but Yeah,
To
you
me,
have to give Marcelino's. You have to be. Yeah, at least Marcelino was honest.
was
It
honest
was.
about it. Yeah. I mean, to
Yeah.
me, the problem with penalties like that is that whenever you show anything in slow motion, it
Mm,
always looks worse than it is. I mean, I don't know when it's a fine line between incidental contact when jumping like that and being off balance. And it, I understand why you can't really base your decision on intent because you can't judge the player's intent. But
mm,
what seems to have happened is that now anytime the ball touches somebody's hand in the penalty area, unless
mm.
they're a Barcelona or Real Madrid player, it's a penalty.
Yeah. Yeah. Fortunately, yeah, it's especially if they run towards the TV screen, you just know it's a penalty
Yeah,
because
yeah,
they're
yeah.
gonna yeah they're gonna replay it 10 times and it's gonna look worse for each time. So I
Right.
feel in those situations with VAR, I think referee has to take control and just decide, and then whatever VAR says, you just have as a ref, you just have to go with your decision because if you get convinced by VAR to check, you obviously gonna go back and look back and see, and if it gets replayed in slow motion, it's very tempting to change your mind, you know. So
Hmm.
that's the only thing that I feel. Yeah, that
Well,
sucks.
yeah, and I also think the concept of it was fine for in theory, but the reality is I just don't think some of these offside decisions are where you're looking at, oh, he's offside by the length of the guy's toenail is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think I think the whole point of the offside rule was were you gaining an advantage or not, and I cannot conceive that by being 1 inch ahead of the defender, you are getting an advantage. And I can't
Mm.
see that the technology is good enough to enable you to call it to that degree either. So I think that's one where I I almost feel like you kind of have to give players there's got to be something like several inches or whatever or a half a foot or whatever, but you say, well, if it's within this and the guy scores, it's good. Because I'm tired of seeing these goals waved off for where when you
Mm.
look at the replay, you've got to look at it 10 times to convince yourself that yes, his toe is slightly ahead of the defender, and it really creates more chaos than it's worth. I think. And besides, I think fans want to see goals. They don't want to see goals chalked off all the time.
Right. Yeah, that's the biggest thing now that you can't even celebrate goals anymore because
Yeah, yeah, you're kind of you sort of well you feel like you have to because of course if you don't then
yeah,
then the referee's going to take a quick there's going to be more complaints about it. But if you
right.
because so you have to celebrate even if you think you're offside, you've got to celebrate,
Mm,
sure, but
mm, mm.
it's sort of a bizarre situation where you're sort of celebrating but then you're sort of looking over your shoulder and then you're kind of waiting and then oh we can celebrate or not, it's
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
for the fans in the stands, if especially if you're at a match where there's not a lot of um, ability to show replays and things. I mean, I think you're just sitting there going, "What happened?" I, I
Exactly.
I
Mm.
don't like it. Obviously, it doesn't seem to me that it's. I think the technology has some value, but I don't think the way in which it's been implemented is very good.
Mm. I mean, I'm, yeah, I feel like I liked how it was before because it was, you knew if the player was offside, even though it's maybe sometimes the offside decision was wrong, you knew it was goal or not goal. But now you don't know what's goal or not goal anymore. And as a fan, I was talking about earlier about being a fan and watching goals. We can celebrate, but of course, players has to celebrate, you know. But
Hmm.
it just takes away the fun. I mean, it's just everything is so they yeah, as you say, like the theory and it was good, but in practice, it doesn't work, and it's always
No,
complaining. Yeah, so yeah, it will be interesting to see how they do it moving forward. But yeah,
I I think
do,
it's also symptomatic of our society where people want a clear answer. You know, they
right,
want the right answer. And and sometimes part of the joy of football is that, you know, the right answer isn't always obvious, and sometimes the right answer isn't what's given. I mean,
right,
you know, I just it feels to me as though it's created more problems than anything else. I wonder what it's like as a linesman too. If you're it feels to me sometimes as though the refereeing crews aren't necessarily on the same page when it comes to linesman's decisions, because okay, the linesman's supposed to help the referee, but now the referee's got VAR looking at everything. So I don't know. It's it's I guess I shouldn't complain. We're in fourth place, so
we're in fourth place. Yeah, we can't complain, I guess.
fourth
So
place game in hand against a team we should beat. Um, so
is that
that's
against Rayo Vallecano
Rio,
or
yeah, yeah.
okay? Yeah.
The other thing I saw, which I thought was really um, good from Jose Perez, was, you know, the whole question of should the La Liga have gone ahead after the floods in the Valencian community, and he was just like, no, you know, I think everybody apart from Tebas is kind of agreed that that was a dumb decision. Um, and I thought Villarreal wearing black to play against Alaves' first home match after the disaster was really nice. Took me a few minutes to work out who was playing though.
Yeah, it was yeah extremely confusing, but yeah, I actually liked the kit though. It was something different, but yeah, it was a very emotional match, and you could see in the players, you could see in Marcelino before the match, because there was a 1 minute of silence, and yeah, Marcelino was very affected by the situation,
Hmm. Yeah,
and
yeah.
but yeah, but on the bright side, we got our first clean sheet. So that
Oh,
was something we were waiting for 3 months now,
yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that I think, I mean, our goals against are a little bit distorted because of the Barcelona match, which was, you know, it's hard to look at a match that was so one-sided in the end, 5-1, and say, well, it could have gone either way. But really, I mean, it almost could have, and I think we got punished by trying to be too aggressive, you know, in a comeback. But yeah, the surprising thing to me is that the defense still hasn't really come together as much as I would have expected it to under Marcelino. So
mm.
um, I don't know. I mean,
What do you think? Is it maybe because of is it the formation, or is it this, or is it because of the new players are who are still figuring out the style,
yeah,
or what do you think it comes down to?
I think it's a bit. I think it's a bit of the new players, and also the fact that we just don't have. We haven't had continuity at the center back positions. I mean, it's you know, Willie has hardly played, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he's hardly been able to play, and I think the other thing is, I mean, I'm impressed with Logan Costa. I like him a lot. I think with Albiol and to a lesser degree Eric Bailly, who's a lot younger, but they're not going to be necessarily everyday players. So they're sort of rotating, and then say Willie's only been able to play one match so far, so we've kind of missed him. And then the other thing is, I think the fullbacks, which were already a problem even before we had the latest injury to Kiko Femenia. I think that's probably the weak link in the team, really. Cardona is okay, but I don't feel like we have a lot of real control. It seems like teams really attack us down the wings, and
Yeah.
yeah, that seems to be the big problem for us.
Yeah, I think so too, because you mentioned new players and the defenders. We're struggling with stability with the players because of injuries and yeah, and etc. But I also think because of the way Marcelino plays, like the way he sets up his team, since we are not so reliant of having a lot of possession, we kind of invite teams to
Hmm.
uh, attack us more because of if you compare like how most team play now with Guardiola, the way because everyone is looking up to Man City and how Guardiola plays his football. It's a lot of possession. Many teams have possession football, and we are still playing in the old way, like in how Marcelo likes to play with fast counter-attacking, and that
Hmm.
leaves us also kind of open. And we kind of invite teams to they get a lot of space to counter-attack us. So maybe it has to do with not us not being able to control matches as much. Maybe that's I don't know. I just feel like since we don't have a lot of control, we kind of invite teams to attack
Yeah,
us
yeah.
more.
Well,
I
we
don't know.
that's always been his style. Yeah, and I think it. But I was going to say though that it has worked so far because
Yeah,
we have generally been outscoring the other team, but
yeah, yeah.
but
Mm,
it is a I think the Barcelona match was really the one where you can see how when you play that sort of high risk
mm,
game against a team which has better players on the especially on the wings attacking than your defenders, it's very difficult. I mean,
mm,
I think that's no problem there. But yeah, it doesn't feel to me as though the old Villarreal was always a 4-4-2 where you had your center pivot that really tried to maintain possession, and um, we don't tend to play that way anymore, and that's
mm.
and that's okay. But it makes it works when you have a club with players like attacking players like Jeremy and Baena. Um,
Mm.
it doesn't work as well when you have more possession-minded, slower um, players in midfield. I think.
Yeah, I think this formation, if we are gonna get the best, I mean, I'm not complaining. I have to just say I enjoy this way of playing. That
Hmm.
us just having possession for 60% and then maybe we get a draw or maybe win 1-0. I enjoy this. I enjoy this way of playing much more. It's very entertaining, but I just think maybe we can be even stronger if we get two more like midfielders who are more mobile. Parejo is not as mobile. He's a very good passer and he can control the tempo. But maybe it could work better if we had a real CDM, like a real defensive midfielder who can maybe block a lot of this passing behind the midfielders. I think Pop Gay is very offensive. I don't know if I've seen a lot of him, a lot of his matches, but he doesn't sit back either. He pushes up when we get the ball.
Push it.
So
Yeah. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
so he's very attacking minded
it
as
is, and
well.
it's like even I thought that Santi Comasagna might be more a defensive midfielder, but he pushes up some as well. I think I think for me the thing that would really help is the guy that I really miss is Pedraza, because I think if he were able to play, I think that's when you have somebody who's going to battle everything and maybe keep those breaks from happening. But you
Right.
know, um,
Mm.
but and we just to go back to the fullback thing. We have a doesn't feel like, and whoever has been coaching us, the fullbacks have always been kind of an issue. I mean, when Marcelino his first go round, we had Mario Gaspar and Jaume Costa, who were good players, but were not they, I wouldn't say that they had a real strong identity. Um, and when we've gotten a fullback who has had promise, especially attacking, we haven't always made good use of him. I was the
Mm.
Estepinian being a great example. I mean,
Right.
here's a guy who can really do a lot for you, and we never figured out how to use him. And I think
Yeah.
I think Ruben Pena was that way too. When he came from Osasuna, he never
Mm.
really had that same form that he had with them, and just felt
Right.
felt like he never quite figured out how to use him. So I don't know. To me, maybe that's the thing that's the area that I'd like to work on. Um, Attacking, I mean, obviously, it'd be nice to have Gerard in the lineup occasionally. I think Barry is doing his best for a guy who's kind of he's coming to terms with La Liga, but I think initially he was kind of overwhelmed by having to play
Mm.
so much.
Yeah, he looked very. I thought honestly in the beginning he looked very green. I watched the highlights. You probably saw some highlights of him as well, and I thought maybe he was maybe more complete than I thought than what what he was. And
Hmm.
but luckily, I think he's starting to settle down. He's already now scored 3, 4 goals and 1 assist. For a guy who's just came from the Belgium league, it's not a bad obviously bad form, but he's a lot more green than what I expected. Obviously, he's very good at heading. I think that's one of his strongest attributes is in crossing areas where he can.
Hmm.
He's very good at that. But overall game, it needs a lot of polish. But he's still 21 years old and still have a lot of time to grow, obviously. But is it another player? You can. It's either those new players or the youngsters. Are there any of them who has impressed you so far this season?
Um, I think. Well, I think I've actually been impressed in a way by Barry just because he doesn't seem to get down on himself. He seems to keep plugging away. But otherwise, I mean, the guys who have been outstanding. I mean, Alex Baena has been terrific, and then Jose Perez, who I guess scored today for Spain, apparently.
I
Um,
saw he had assist, but did he score maybe?
yeah,
On,
apparently he scored as well in the second half. Yeah,
okay,
the match isn't over, but they're winning 2-1, and so yeah, they.
okay.
I was looking to see. I think
Yeah,
Baena.
he scored.
Yeah, Baena started, and he came out after about an hour, and Jeremy was on the bench but didn't get in. Yeah. So, and
Right.
Perez came off after 70 minutes in favor of Alvaro Morata, which is quite a change, change of pace. Anyway, so
Yeah.
I think Perez has been the guy that just. I mean, it's like I can't. What he has 7 goals in 9 league matches for us, um, and I think he's just been incredible. And
Mm.
Baena is. I forgot what match it was I was watching, and it was just like he was he was making passes and he was seeing things nobody else was seeing. I mean,
Yeah.
he can be if he can control his tendency to get a little hot-headed at times. I mean, he could be an incredible player. Well, he's already very good, but
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he does. He finds his passing. The thing is, he gives Body a lot of good passes, but it seems to always be in maybe in a run or he doesn't see that pass. So I think he would have had a lot more assist if he had maybe started right now. But yeah,
mm,
he Bayern has been impressive, obviously. But I also think a guy who I don't know if you've seen him, but Pau Navarro, have you seen him play so far?
I have not seen him play. So well, I guess he came on one match, didn't he? But I haven't really seen him enough to say anything.
No, okay. You should when you have time, I'll send you some links. He has been really good. It looks very comfortable as a right back. He played as a right back in the last match against Alaves. He
Hmm.
came in for
Oh, he
Kiko
came in
Femenia,
for
who
Kiko.
yeah
Right. Yeah.
he came in and played as a right back, and he looked very comfortable. And he seems very composed for only being 19, 20. I don't know how old he is. Um, I think that guy is going to be the next big thing. I think he has the potential of being a really good defender, and he reminds me a lot of Pau Torres in a way of like how composed he is, and
Hmm.
yeah, I'm very
Well, maybe.
excited for him. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, that's good. Maybe it goes with the name.
yeah, exactly. It doesn't hurt that his name is also Pau.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So yeah,
I haven't really gotten a chance to watch him. I'll have to do that. Um,
yeah,
and I guess the other guy we should mention that has sort of again played maybe more than we expected given Gerard's injury is Pepe, and he's
yep.
been he's been looking pretty good. I'm you know
Yeah, he's been lively, very lively. Like I wasn't expecting, like I don't know if you expected a lot of him, but he just looks like a different player now, and I think our style of play suits him more. Like with the
yeah.
counter-attacking and quick transitions, I think this suits him much more. And yeah, that's a very exciting player. And unfortunately, because of the injury of Akumac, I think now he probably will get moved on the right side
Hmm.
more. I think I don't know if it will suit him even more or if he preferred playing as a support striker. But either way, it's yeah very exciting to see him
Yeah.
play.
Yeah. While
Mm.
we're going down the roster, the one guy I'm kind of curious about is this Etta Ayong, who's been tearing up things for the B team. Um,
Mm.
I guess he has 7 goals in 9 matches for them. So,
Right.
yeah, I guess he's trained with the first team. I think he's been on the bench, but we haven't seen him play yet. But who knows? We may see some of him. I'm just looking at our
Yeah, that
roster.
will be good. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking at our roster and realizing Gerard is only 32. He's his body seems to be wearing out pretty quickly, though.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's very sad. I feel, but I heard some good news though now that he's been training with the team. So that's a good sign. But I'm really worried that he might become just another Bruno Soriano, like just dealing with injuries and never seems to get fit enough to play matches because he has missed a
Yeah,
lot of games now so far.
yeah,
And
yeah. I was looking, 2021 when he had the 23 goal season, he played 2,700 minutes in the league. And
mm,
last year he did 22-30 and had 10 goals. But the 2 years in between, they totaled 22-30. I mean, he just hasn't been able to stay fit that much. And
yeah,
because he's an excellent. I've always liked him because I just think he's one of those players that whoever he plays with, he makes them look better because he's.
yeah, exactly. He's so complete player. He has everything. I mean, yeah, he can also what I like about him the most is that he knows how to get the fouls that can slow down the tempo. Let's say we are leading 2 goals to 1 in the 18
Hmm.
minutes. He knows how to slow down the game, and he knows how to find the right pass. And yeah, I really hope he comes back after the international break because
Yeah, yeah, me
we
too. I
really
would
need
really
him.
like. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, especially since when you look at the matches we've got coming up, and admittedly they're all. I guess there's the Rio match is sort of in the middle of being made up midweek, I guess. But you look at the teams that are the 4 matches: Osasuna, Girona, Athletic Club, and Betis. Those are 4 tough matches, especially since both the Basque teams were playing up there.
Right. It's really
So
tough.
yeah, so that's going to be tough, and
Mm.
that's then we still have to play Real Sociedad, which is also up there. That's in January. That's the first match after the break, and
Mm.
and then Leganes is the other team we haven't played. So I think it'll be interesting to see how we do with those away. We've played well on the road so far. It'll be interesting to see what we can get out of the Osasuna and Athletic Bilbao and L'Oreal matches.
Absolutely. How many? Yeah, you mentioned Osasuna away. It's okay. So Osasuna away, Girona at home, Bilbao away, and Betis at home. So that's a
Yep.
really tough fixture. Um, how many points do you think we can get out of those 4 matches? Uh,
Let's see. I'm going to say I think we probably should get. Well, I'd love us to get 8 or 9, but I think realistically, I think we should beat. I think we should probably end up with 7. I think we should probably win one of. Yeah, I'm going to say 7. I
yeah,
think. I think the.
I,
I think the real key for me is going to be beating Betis on the mid-December. I think if we do that, that'd be good.
yeah,
And
at
then
least winning both home matches, right?
yeah, yeah. If we can get something like 8 from those 4, that would be
Mm.
that would be great. That would keep our current 2 points per match going. And then
Mm.
you've got the makeup against Rio, which is at home. So we have 2 home matches in basically 4 days. And then away at Leganés and away at La Real to finish off the first half of the season. So if we can take 3 from Rio and take say 2 from those last 2, we'd be sitting pretty good. I
Mm.
think, and I think we can do that. I mean, I think that of the clubs we have to play, Osasuna, to my mind, are a really good team at home. They're not so good away, but of
Right.
course, playing them up there. I think Girona is. I think having to compete in the Champions League is hurting their domestic form to some degree. And I think we're a better team than they are. Um,
Yeah,
and
they look depleted.
yeah,
Getafe looks really
yeah, yeah. I think. Well, they're missing Alex Garcia. I mean, they sold him, and
okay.
you know,
Yep.
missing him.
Sold him, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
and I think of the hardest of the matches to me ought to be Athletic Club, just because they're so good at home, and they they do the best. I mean, they're doing very well with the talent they have,
Yeah.
and especially the younger Williams, I think is an excellent player, and with their sort of style, I think there'll be a tough matchup for us because that speed, when they recover the ball and can counterattack us quickly, we just don't have the speed to keep up with Nico Williams. I don't think.
Yeah, that would be definitely a challenge for us. Especially on the left side. If Albiol plays, he he might struggle that night.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
but I think at Girona at home should be, yeah, we should beat Girona at home.
I think we should win that one, and we generally
Yeah,
have pretty good luck against Betis, so I think probably that too. Betis is, I mean, their problem is apart from Lo Celso, they can't seem to score.
right.
I think that they sold Perez to us, and they haven't really replaced him. Um, I did see part of one of their matches, and Cedric Bakambu was out there playing, and didn't.
Yeah, I saw him just in the
Yeah,
bench.
and he
Yeah,
kind of. I think his. I'm not sure what age he is now, but he's 33, and I think he hasn't done much. Yeah, the only guy who's um, Vitor Roque, 19-year-old, has 3 goals. Chimi Avila, who I think is a pretty limited striker, has 1, and Lo Celso has 5 from midfield. So it's like
that's crazy.
they just
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, so I think they're.
Yeah, I never expected him to score that many goals. Lo Celso is not the type of player who scores a lot of goals, but yeah, okay. 5 goals already. That's
Yeah, yeah. But it's interesting though. I mean, as I look at them, um, they've been playing, they haven't lost in a while, but they haven't, they drew at home against Celta. They drew at home with Athletic Club or away with Athletic Club, which is good. And they
yeah.
beat Atletico Madrid at home. So, they're a good team, but it's just interesting that they're having to. I mean, all of their matches seem like they're 1-0, 1-2, 1-1.
Yeah, it looks even if you check the win, draw, and lose stats, they have 5 wins, 5 draws, and 3 losses. So it's like almost evenly balanced, and
Hmm.
even
Hmm.
the goal scored and goals conceded are almost same. 14 goals, only 14 goals. They only have scored only 14 goals and
Yeah,
conceded 12 goals. So
yeah,
they are not scoring. Yeah, they're struggling up front, but.
yeah. I mean, they seem to me like a. I mean, you look at, okay, so if a team goes 13, 13, and 13, they have 52 points, and they look kind of like a 60-point team at most to me right now. Um,
Mm.
so, but who knows? We'll see.
Who
But I think
knows? We will
I
see.
think that one I'm penciling in as a win, but that's going to be a tough one.
Mm.
And I'm hoping for. Um, I'd love to be able to win at Osasuna, which we have done occasionally, but not very much. I'm not expecting a lot from the Bilbao match, but maybe we'll.
Yeah,
That's going to be a tough.
especially yeah, it will be difficult, but we have to also remember that Marcelino was a coach there, so he might have some inside info how to he might able to find some good plan to
Hmm.
neutralize. But it's very hard to neutralize. I don't know. Is his name Nico Williams or I always
Uh,
confuse the brothers.
I
uh,
forget. Yeah,
yeah,
it's Inaki
Inaki
is the
Williams. Yeah,
older, and yeah,
all
and
the one. Right.
he's the older
Hmm.
one, and
Right.
it's yeah, um, yeah. I think just looking at Osasuna too, yeah, they're not doing as well as they were, and I think we'll see what happens. They've got couple of Basque derbies coming up too. Um, yeah, athletic club. I think the thing with that is impressive about them, when I've seen a little bit of them, is that I thought they might struggle without. I always loved watching Iker Minayin, so I thought after he left, maybe
Yeah.
that would be there would be a bit of a downturn. But the two Williams brothers and then this Gorka Guruzeta played well, and their midfield is. I just think I think they're a nicely constructed team, and Valverde, they seem to fit his personality pretty well.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that's maybe the way to put it. They're
Yeah.
Yeah, and so when you play them at San Mamés, it's always a difficult one. But they don't tend to score a lot either. I mean, you look at, I guess they went wild against Espanyol, but otherwise 4-1 they won that one. But otherwise of late, um, they've had a lot of 1-1 draws too.
Yeah.
Um,
A lot
so
of evenly, yeah. Espanyol, yeah. Espanyol is the only match where they really went off, and the Celta Vigo match in September,
uh,
I think. Yeah, in September, where we scored 3 goals.
well,
But yeah,
Celta has the it's like every match ought to be about 5-4. They don't defend well, but they do have some. They're fun to watch, but I think if you're a Celta fan, it's sort of you're not really sure what you're going to get.
it's true. It's very open. So, last question, Alan. So this week marked 1 year since Marcelino joined the club. Um, can we just talk about how impressive it has been for a coach to join a team that was almost fighting at one point to stay in the league, and now competing for the Champions League spot? How impressive is what Marcelino has done in just 1 year? Um, what do you
Yeah,
think about that? Mm.
well, I think it's impressive. Um, I will say that I think a lot of the talent was there, but you know, the it wasn't being coached well, and I think Marcelino came in um, really having an idea of what he could do, and he's done it. I think I think the thing that's interesting about Marcelino is that I've seen these articles talking about 50 coaches you should hire and whatever. He's old enough now. He's almost 60, so he doesn't show up anymore in the coaches that should go to the Premier League kind of thing. I think he
Mm.
really likes being at Villarreal. I think he really likes the team that he's got,
Yeah.
and I think that's a real key. And he's gone for a couple of players that he brought back have not really contributed because of injuries, but I think he's also been. I mean, we were all astonished with getting Perez, which was sort of under the radar. But then when we signed Nicolas Pepe, everybody's like, "Wow, that was
Mm.
quite a coup." And I think the team is really, I mean, this team is more than most I've seen in recent years. We seem to be, apart from the injuries, if the injuries don't don't create issues, I feel good about our chances of making the Champions League because I look at the team and I'm just like, yeah, this is, you've got a Champions League quality coach and a Champions League quality roster. Um,
Mm,
you know, I think the big issue, of course, as Villarreal fans always worry about, is okay, what happens next summer with players like Baena, for
yeah.
example. And so I think if we make the Champions League, we've got a much better chance to hold on to somebody like him for another year, kind of like we did with Pau Torres. Um,
Mm.
but if we don't, he'll probably move in the summer. that's
Right.
that's always
That's yeah.
that's always the way it is. But I think, you know,
Mm.
I think the reality is we are doing very well. Uh, Typically, when Villarreal do well in the league and make it to the Champions League places, there'll be one or two players that carry us there, and so far it looks like uh, Iose and Perez and Alex Baena would be the two that I would say are doing that. But
Mm.
everybody's playing pretty well for the most part. And as I say, I look at players that we haven't really seen much of at all, and they're who ought to be coming back from injury, and you know that would help too. So
For sure.
yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
as much as Baena and I also Perez has been carrying, but you also see some of the new players arriving, having good performances.
yeah,
Body is slowly, he's been scoring, contributing. Cardona has now 2 assists, I think.
yep,
So Femenía has also contributed with assists. So overall, we are doing really, really good as a team. But
mhm,
obviously, it's, but on top of that, we have those exceptional players who are
yeah,
doing even more.
yeah.
It's really exciting actually. And
Well,
yeah, I just wanted, yeah,
we haven't talked about the goalkeepers at all, and I wanted to know what you thought about
yeah,
Diego Conde because he's had a few ups and downs for me.
right, yeah.
And I think everybody's kind of wondering, is he going to, are we going to see Luis Junior at all, other than, so I don't know. What do you think about Conde? Is he, is he sort of, he's had a couple of outstanding performances, but then he sort of regressed
Mm.
toward mean, I think.
Yeah, to be honest, in the last few matches, he hasn't been tested as much. I think maybe, yeah, I haven't seen him getting tested so much. But he has been very comfortable. He saves when he has to make the save. And I saw the backup goalkeeper, the junior, and he reminds me a lot of Ederson from City in the way his goalkeeping style. But I think he made a big error. I mean, I saw. I don't know if you have seen the goal he conceded. Um, his positioning was way off, and it was relatively. I mean, easy or not relatively easy shot that could have been saved, but because
Hmm.
of the way he positioned himself, he looks a bit green. So I'm expecting maybe Conde to play the rest of the season in the league when it comes to league matches. I think, yeah, just because of that one match. It's probably too early to like come to conclusion, but I think the plan is probably for Conde to play every match, unless he fumbles and yeah have a bad patch of matches. but it
right.
has been really quiet. He hasn't been faced, but it's gonna change now in the next four matches. So we
Yeah.
will see. We'll see how he deals with it.